In this video, we are finalizing our forecast on this extremely dynamic storm. The National Weather Service has issued blizzard warnings all up and down the East Coast as we are expecting some places to receive feet of snow, very strong winds, and coastal flooding. We're going to look at all the data so you can be prepared. Welcome back, y'all. Ryan Hall here with the weather forecast. Guys, we have been tracking this storm for what feels like weeks. It's been a very complicated forecast with a lot of moving parts, but if you remember, a couple days ago, I drew some comparisons to the upper air synoptic pattern with this upcoming storm to some very memorable storms of the past. And the reason I did that is because the ceiling of this storm is extremely high, and I feel like it's my job to communicate all of the possibilities with every storm, while at the same time communicating uncertainty and reducing any sort of panic. And now here we are on the doorstep of this storm, and I truly believe that a blizzard of historic significance is about to occur. Now, I love winter, and a lot of our subscribers here do too, and usually we root on the snow, but a storm like this can actually be very life-threatening and cause widespread severe and detrimental impacts. So what I'm going to do is get down to business and show you everything you need to know to be prepared for this thing. Okay, here's a look at the latest watches and warnings from the National Weather Service. If you are in this purplish color out here, you are under a winter weather advisory. So that's kind of like on the bottom of the winter weather warning totem pole. And then if you find yourself in the pink boxes, that includes New York City, that's a winter storm warning, which is a couple steps up. And then if you are in the reds, you are under a blizzard warning for this storm. So down here in Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey, we have several blizzard warnings. These include Ocean City, Atlantic City, all the way up into Toms River, New Jersey. And all of you guys can expect over a foot of snow with winds gusting around 50 miles per hour. And that's, once again, that's a blizzard. And then we have those winter storm warnings from New York City all the way across Long Island. It's possible that some of these may also be upgraded to blizzard warnings. And then once we get up here into New England, we get more of those red boxes with our blizzard warnings. Now, this blizzard warning that includes Boston, Plymouth, all the way up into Portland. This is a different animal, okay? This is a blizzard warning for up to 2 feet of snow with 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And I promise you this, some of you all are going to end up with more than 2 feet of snow. So let's start looking at the timing and impacts on the weather models. All right, looking at the NAM 12-kilometer model here, this is what the radar could look like as we go into the future. And of course, as always, if you want to keep up with that date and time, it's going to be right there above my head. 10 a.m. today, we're still going to see snow showers breaking out across Illinois, all the way through the Ohio Valley into Pennsylvania. Heavier snow showers might start to break out down here in eastern Tennessee as well, as some of that upslope action starts happening on the mountains, and that's really going to blow up, guys. Whenever that low starts to form in the southeast, I've been talking about this for days. Whenever this starts to really pull in this energy against the mountains, this precipitation shield back here is going to blow up, and some of you guys are going to overperform, especially in Virginia, West Virginia, all the way up into Pennsylvania. A lot of you guys are only expecting 1 to 3 inches, and that's what most of you are going to get, but a couple areas will end up with significantly more than that. And then behind that, we have an area of snow squalls that are going to go through Kentucky into Tennessee, and these are going to be pretty intense too. They could drop a quick inch or two of snow like that, but the focus is definitely shifting over here, okay? Around 6 p.m. today, I will be going live on this channel, and we're going to have Mike Scantlin out here in Washington, D.C., giving us a live view of those first big flakes that are falling. And of course, we're going to be seeing that heavy snow from North Carolina all the way up through Virginia into Maryland and Pennsylvania at this time. Let's skip forward a little bit, and then here we are at 11 p.m. So around this time, I'm going to end my live coverage tonight so I can sleep a little bit. But this is when some of the heaviest snow is going to be hitting in southern Maryland, and especially in Delaware, Dover, Delaware, and all those surrounding areas. You're going to be seeing some incredibly heavy snow around 11 p.m. tonight, and I'm telling you guys, it's going to pile up fast. All of New Jersey is also going to be getting in on some snow around this time, and as well as New York City. Let's go forward a couple more hours, and you can see what's happening here. The storm doesn't move a whole lot, but the precipitation shield gets heavier, it gets stronger, it gets more widespread, and this is why, you know, some people out here are going to be measuring snow significantly higher than your forecasted amounts, okay? A lot of people on the coast in New Jersey, Long Island, we're expecting you to get 12, 18 inches of snow. A couple of you guys are going to overperform, I believe, as all of this moisture is getting flung into that cold air and then falling in the form of heavy snow. And also, this thing is trended west, right? So it looks like even Philadelphia might be getting in on some snow. Now, it's not going to be a historic blizzard there, but certainly more than what we were talking about yesterday. And that goes for some areas in New York State as well. Let's go even further into the future, and here we are around 7 to 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. This is when I'm going to start my next live stream, and this one's probably going to go for 11, 12 hours. And we're going to have Nicholas Isabella here on Long Island giving us live footage of what's more than likely going to be an extremely heavy band of snow dropping incredible snow snow rates at this time. And look at here, it's still snowing in Maryland and Delaware. It's still snowing across the entire state of New Jersey into eastern Pennsylvania. Now some of that heavy snow is working into New England, especially in Cape Cod, which is where we're going to have Vince Welty and Reed Timmer. Guys, we have a lot of storm chasers on this one. If you want to see this storm, I don't think there's literally anywhere else that you could get a better view of this thing than my channel, which is something I never thought I would say. But this is definitely going to be a historic storm, and I want to make sure that we cover it from all angles. And it's around this time where the low pressure system is going to start to undergo bombogenesis. I know it's kind of like a buzzword in the media. A lot of you've heard the term bomb cyclone a million times, but truly that term should be saved for storms like this, because this is a real bomb cyclone. And around noon tomorrow, some of the heaviest snow you've ever seen in your life over here in eastern Massachusetts into Connecticut and parts of Rhode Island and southeastern New Hampshire will be falling. Also, I'm going to pull this back a little bit and look at all this, okay? Look at all this thunderstorm activity down here in the Atlantic. Look how that runs up into the cold air and then becomes part of the snow bands. I promise you guys, if you live in eastern Massachusetts, you're going to see thundersnow from this. In fact, we could be talking about hours of thundersnow in portions of Connecticut, once again, Rhode Island, eastern Massachusetts, and then into New Hampshire as well. You guys know my fascination with thundersnow, so if you can do so safely and you can send me a video of thundersnow and you live out here, send that to me on Twitter and I will share it with everybody and I will live vicariously through you. But look at this, guys. 1 p.m. tomorrow, it's still snowing down here in Jersey and Delaware. Heaviest snows are now in Boston, working up into Portland and the coastal areas of Maine. Thundersnow is continuing, and then all the way out at 6 p.m., that's when finally some of that snow starts moving out of the lower northeast coast here. So we're going to be snow free 100% in all of Maryland, Delaware, and Jersey by 6 p.m. tomorrow. It's still snowing heavily along Cape Cod into eastern portions of Massachusetts and even into western portions of Massachusetts. I know I kind of favor talking about the eastern side, but that's just because the impacts over there are just going to be so much worse than in western Massachusetts. But yeah, you guys are still going to be getting heavy snow as well. This is also going to be the best time to see snow in Vermont, and then this is going to continue to go to the north and east, and it becomes so strong that it kind of shears itself out. So a lot of those heavier snow bands will kind of fade off as it goes up into New Brunswick and northeastern portions of Maine, but you guys are still going to get an absolute crap ton of snow. Okay, let me rewind this back, and I'm going to play this back and forth for you a couple times just so you can get an idea of what to expect here. Once again, this is what the radar is likely going to look like over the next 50 hours or so. Now, another very important thing that we talk about is not only the timing of the arrival of snow, but the arrival time of wind is also going to be very important. So if you're down here in Atlantic City, in Delaware, or on the coast of New Jersey, or really pretty much all of this area right here, even into Philadelphia, you're going to start experiencing blizzard conditions around 3 a.m. on Saturday, okay? And the closer you are to the ocean, the more intense it's going to be, but we're going to start seeing 40, 50 mile an hour wind gusts around this time. Also, those 40 and 50 mile an hour wind gusts will be working their way into New York City and Long Island and Connecticut around this time, but things really intensify around the time I start my live stream tomorrow, okay? Around 7 to 8 a.m., somewhere in there. That's when we're going to start seeing potentially 60 or 70 mile an hour wind gusts here in Long Island. Of course, we're still seeing those 50s and 60s over here in New Jersey, 40s and 50s through Rhode Island and Connecticut. Very significant wind gusts out here on Long Island around 8 a.m. I do expect power outages, almost 100% positive about that. And then we have to worry about just damage too. These are damaging wind gusts. So trees falling, power lines falling, and anything that would normally happen in a tropical storm or a severe thunderstorm, you can expect with this. Let's pull it forward a little bit more into the 11 a.m. time frame. This is when some of the heaviest or biggest wind gusts are going to work into Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Cape Cod, especially. Around this time, some places in Cape Cod could experience wind gusts in excess of 80 miles an hour. Literally going to be like a hurricane, but with snow. Obviously, power outages are going to be a problem here. 60 mile an hour in Boston, 50 or 60 miles an hour there in Worcester, but even all the way back in Springfield, 50 or 60 miles an hour. So, anywhere that's in the orange, you might not be under a blizzard warning because the National Weather Service kind of wants to reserve that for the areas that get the most snow so that people take that seriously. But you're definitely going to be experiencing a blizzard even all the way back into western Massachusetts. and southwestern Connecticut. There's no question in my mind about that, even though you're not technically under the warning. And then as we go later on, we're going to see some of those strong winds crash against the southeast coast of Maine. So I'm really worried about coastal flooding on the northeastern side of Massachusetts, and of course the coast of New Hampshire and the coastal areas of Maine. From Boston to Newburyport to Portsmouth, all the way up into Cape Elizabeth, I think that we're going to have some very significant problems here with coastal flooding as that flow rushes that water with, once again, 80 to 90 mile an hour winds right onto the shore. And then once again, as this storm becomes so strong it can't even hold itself together, everything just kind of falls apart as it goes off to the north. So that's kind of good news for you there in New Brunswick and on up into Newfoundland, but it's still going to be a very strong storm for you. All right, for our weather nerds out there and our weather enthusiasts, let's talk really briefly about why this is such a historic storm, why this is going to be such a big deal, why is this storm special. We've been looking at this map a lot over the past little bit, and I've been telling you about how that southern piece of vorticity, if that gets wrapped around to the front side during the baseball swing, when this thing goes negatively tilted, we are going to see a massive storm, and that's exactly what happened here. I mean, look at that, guys. Not only do we have a negatively tilted trough, not only do we have a home run with our baseball bat swing analogy, but we have multiple baseball bat swings inside of the main swing. I have personally never in my life, now I am only 28 years old, but in my entire life, I have never seen this. So literally, I couldn't even draw up a more perfect scenario for a truly historic and impactful blizzard on the East Coast. And then if we look at the lower level winds just a couple thousand feet above your head, look at this. No, your eyes do not deceive you. That is an eye. This is an extratropical system. It's a mid-latitude cyclone. This is not a hurricane. This is not a snowicane. I'm not going to be responsible for people going around shouting that term. But, man, this thing is really presenting itself like a tropical system with a real eye on the 850 millibar winds here. And that just shows you how strong and how intense this storm is going to be. We might have Reed Timmer out here on Cape Cod with an eye wall intercept. Like he's in a hurricane there for our snowstorm. Absolutely unbelievable. Another really interesting thing is if we look at the upper air temperatures, you can see that there's this area of lower temperatures right here where we think that some of the heaviest snow is going to fall. And the reason this area of decreased temperatures is showing up way up in the 850 millibar area is because of a thing called dynamic cooling. Oh, you can see it way better here on the 850 millibar. I had the wrong thing pulled up. Look at that. You see that? So whenever precipitation falls, and this usually happens on the ground level, you've been outside before, it cools the air down a little bit, right? Just this simple act of precipitation will take energy from the atmosphere and lower the temperature. Now, usually that happens towards the surface once all that energy has culminated down there. But even way up at the 850 millibar level, there's going to be so much snow ripping in the atmosphere that it's literally cooling itself down, bringing cold air down from the top of the atmosphere into the mid levels and then plummeting it down into the lower levels. Once again, this is another thing that you don't see very often. And then last but not least, looking at the temperatures, especially from New York City points north and east, most of us are going to be in the teens or single digits during the hardest part of the storm. The snowfall ratios are going to be off the charts. We could be talking about 15 to 1 or even 20 to 1 snow ratios here. And basically that just means that the snow is going to be extremely dry and powdery, and every single flake is going to stick, meaning that you're going to end up with the high end more than likely of snow totals. Okay, now let's get into what we're actually here for and look at those snow totals. Now we're going to look at all the model data first, and we're going to look at the high end of things, and then we're going to look at the more conservative National Weather Service forecast, and that's what I'm going to say is my forecast, but I also want to show you what the top of the line worst case scenario could be for every location. Now, this is not going to happen more than likely, but it just shows you how incredible this model data is, okay? So how would you like nearly 50 inches of snow there on the coast of New Jersey? This is showing nearly 40 inches of snow along Long Island. And then, of course, down here in southeastern Massachusetts, we're seeing, 2-3 feet. Now, the NAM model is pretty notorious for being overly bullish with these snow totals. So once again, I don't think that this is going to happen, but it's not very often that you see these kind of totals showing up just hours before a storm starts. So it's certainly going to be very significant. Here's a look at the latest Euro model with those Kuchera ratios. I think this might be a little bit more realistic down here towards Ocean City with that foot range, Dover with a foot, maybe over 15 inches down here near Atlantic City. I do believe that eastern portions of New Jersey could approach 20 inches, but we're going to say 12 to 18 to be safe, and then over 30 inches of snow out in Long Island, according to this model. And then all of New England gets absolutely pummeled with, once again, several feet of snow on this model. And then what about our good old friend GFS? Everybody thought, hey, this storm's going out to sea, man. Ryan, GFS says it's going out to sea. Why are you talking about this? Well, look who caved in. The GFS has joined the rest of the gang. And once again, a foot or more down here, over 20 inches of snow in Long Island, a foot to 2 feet through a lot of New England. And then, of course, 15, 16, 17 inches all the way up into Maine. Southeastern New Hampshire here even getting in on the 15, 16, 17 inches on the GFS. Okay, so here's that NWS database. DC still looking at like 2 or 3 inches. I definitely think you guys could see a little bit more than that. Baltimore, same thing. A lot of the eastern side of Virginia, we're talking about 2 to 4 inches. There'll be a couple places that end up with 5. And then a lot of Virginia and North Carolina out here, we're showing 1 to 3 inches. But like I said earlier, some of you guys are going to end up with more than that. It's a complete coin flip at this point as to who exactly that is. What's a little bit more certain is that the coastal areas of the Northeast and New England are going to get pummeled with snow. Once again, this is a conservative forecast. A foot of snow down here in Dover, 6 or 7 inches in Philadelphia, 14 inches in Atlantic City, 14 inches near Long Beach, Brookhaven in Long Island with about 14 inches, and then over here near Southampton, we're talking about 16 or 17 inches. Even all the way back here towards Stony Point in New York, we're talking about 6 inches or more now. And even back towards Somerville in North Jersey, we're talking about 6 inches around there. So, this is definitely trending west. And now Danbury, Connecticut, 8, 9, 10 inches of snow. Plainfield, Connecticut, 13, 14 inches. Pretty much all of Rhode Island could see 12 to 18 inches. Extreme western Massachusetts, we're still talking about 3 to 6. Central Massachusetts, between Greenfield and Worcester, we're talking about 6 to 12. And then everywhere east of that has the opportunity to see 12 inches of snow all the way up to 2 feet. And there will once again be some places out here that see 3 feet of snow. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. 3 feet of snow is 100% possible. And I would not be surprised if we saw even more than that in some isolated areas. How about Manchester, New Hampshire getting in on about a foot of snow? Amesbury getting in on about 16 inches. And then all of coastal Maine, pretty much around a foot of snow to 15 or 16 inches. And then even up around Waterville and Bangor, we're still talking about a foot of snow all the way up there. So that's your official forecast, guys. Wow. All right, guys. Once again, we are doing live coverage here on this channel starting tonight at 6 p.m. We're going to have Mike Scantlin from Storm Chasers, the show on Discovery Channel with Reed Timmer. He's going to be out there providing some live feeds for us and some communication in Washington, D.C. and that area. And of course, we're going to update the forecast for everybody else tonight during the live stream as well. And then tomorrow, we've got Nicholas, Vince, and Reed Timmer out here in Long Island. That's where Nicholas is going to be. Vince and Reed are going to be kind of going back and forth or trying to decide whether or not they're going to be in the Boston area or the Cape Cod area early tomorrow. Obviously, things can still shift a little bit, so they're not 100% sure. And guys, they are being safe, okay? Reed has told me that he's going to chase this thing just like a hurricane. He's always going to stay in proximity of a shelter. He's going to keep his car pointed towards the wind. He's going to have all kinds of survival gear on hand because this is a deadly situation. I mean, just to be frank, okay? If you're out there on the roads during 4 to 6 inches per hour, kind of like snow, with 70-mile-an-hour winds, it's extremely dangerous. Once again, it's not very often where a snowstorm is a life-threatening situation, but that's what we're talking about today. So if you do want to see the snow, if you do want to see what the roads are like, if you do want to see all of that stuff, please watch my stream. Don't go out there yourself. Stay home and enjoy the show, okay? So turn your notifications on, spread the word on Facebook and all that stuff. Let's get the word out about this thing. Once again, who needs Jim Cantori when you got all these guys and Ryan Hall on YouTube? All right, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.